In the South, about August, a young man's fancy turns from girls and summers and swimming and looking for beauty and all the love. It becomes about one singular thing. It becomes about college football. And this is Reckless Speculations College Football Preview Show. Yes, tomorrow, football is back. Robbie, we're going to a game tomorrow.
All week I've been mapping out my week, and it hasn't seemed real. I'm like, oh, what do I gotta do Friday and Thursday? I'm like, oh, I'm going to the game tomorrow. Thus, Friday's going to be a work from home day. And then I'm excited about it. We're seeing the new renovations to the stadium, which I'm super pumped about. And then, just the atmosphere back in the air. And then, my gosh, I told my wife, I'm like, look, we got late time on Saturday, probably till. So we're going to be in Central Time on Saturday. I told her we got late time till about 2:00, and then from 2 on, sorry, like if you want to take the boat out on your own, you can. But I'm in front of the TV. This weekend is awesome. College football is starting out with a bang of matchups. We're going to get to all those, but man, I'm excited.
All right, Tom. Robbie, I got you on a little delay here. Just make sure our delay's working. But Tom, welcome to the show. Roger's going to join us shortly. Brandon Chain will join us. You ready for the Arizona Sun Devils?
Gotta represent the Pat Tillman. Rest in peace. Yes, it's one of the best times of the year. Unfortunately, my Maize and Blue are playing the Colorado State, and I think it's at this point they're a 30.5-point favorite, so it won't be much of a contest. So unlike Robbie, his wife will be riding the boat. I'll be driving the boat Saturday until the big one hits. So that's my plans for this weekend. But yeah, it's a great time of year. Usually the first week of college football, it doesn't get any better than that. So
and we have rain in the forecast, and I would not mind one bit if it rains all weekend.
Well, they're calling for rain maybe late afternoon, so we'll probably get home in time for the 3:30 game. So we'll see how it goes. But it's going to be hot, like almost 90 here. That's unusually warm for Labor Day weekend here.
We've got college football Saturday. We got college football Sunday. We got college football Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Also Monday, mark your calendars. Next to Christmas, it's the best day of the year. I didn't come to save you, but I did come to entertain you. It's my birthday. So Monday is the Randall Day. So
29, right?
Times 2 almost. I'm officially closer to 60 than I am 50, and I look good for my age. All right, guys. As the guys are getting ready, let's see if Rod just popped up. He said he was on his way. That could be anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes. I want to talk a little bit about, I'm going to kick it off, and Robbie, you may have the same one I do. I have some special memories of open day, and I have some crap memories of opening day. And Tom, as a Maize and Blue fan, I know you have the same, but I'm going to start with a good memory. And a good memory of opening day is in 2006, I believe it was, Robbie. We caught Cal at home after they had destroyed us in 2005, jumped out on Cal 35-0, and just ended up destroying a Cal team that had Deshaun Jackson. Aaron Rodgers had graduated. Marshawn Lynch was gone, but it was still a very talented Cal team. That was a special game, man. That was a game that Tennessee kind of set off for a good season. Very good Cal team too.
That I was at that game. That was a great. I was at Berkeley the year before, and then at Knoxville that game. I can't remember. So one of the most memorable opening games that I can remember is I don't think we necessarily opened Mercedes-Benz. We may have been the second game. I think we were that Sunday game against Georgia Tech that was just a shootout back and forth, the triple option. And we ended up – Georgia Tech went for a 2-point conversion at the end and failed. It was just back and forth all game long. I think Alabama and
Louisville?
somebody else played that Saturday night. I think we played Sunday night. It was Labor Day weekend, though.
Yeah, it was. It was.
That was one of the most exciting games. One, seeing the stadium and just all of what that entailed. And Tom, if you need to eventually come get down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, for a soccer game or for a college football game, though, don't come to a Falcons game.
Don't come for the Falcons.
It's just a whole different atmosphere. But that was one of the best opening games I can remember. That Cal game was great also.
Another one that I remember, Tom, and I'll come to you because I got some painful ones to remember. This is pre all of y'all time. In 1988, we had went 5-6, and we opened up at LA September the 1st, 1989. First time I believe I'd ever been to California. I think it is, if I'm not misremembering. And Tennessee went out there and beat a top 6. It seems like there were 6 ranked UCLA team, 24-6. Sterling Hinton starting at quarterback. DJ Sterling, that plays in the stadium now, started at quarterback and started a 11-1 Tennessee run that year. That was a great memory too. Tom, what hit your mind for good when you opening day hit your head? Because I think I know what the bad's going to be.
Well, the bad is definitely what you probably can think of. But I forget what year it was. I believe Michigan opened up against Notre Dame. Forget what year it was, and they had a freshman quarterback that was making his debut, and he marched him into a big win. It was like 2006 or 2007, I believe it was.
Ago. I know I can remember the game myself.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. The quarterback was he got hurt later on in that season, and then he didn't play anymore for Michigan. But obviously, the one that we always get ridden hard on is Appalachian State, which no excuses. That was by far the worst loss in Michigan history for a team, at that point, no one really ever heard of, but I think they were at that point, Division II. That's before they rearranged.
Later that year in Chattanooga, they were the defending 1AA national champions, though.
And they seem to win almost every year in their conference, but to go up to Michigan and beat them soundly and in fitting, Michigan misses a field goal with an opportunity to try and win it at the end. That was kind of the end of the Lloyd Carr era, and began what ended up being quite the coaching carousel. And so, that definitely was a memory we get reminded of a lot, especially from Ohio State fans.
Well, I'm not as been around as losing to Appy State as I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. Tennessee opens by losing to Georgia State. Just down the road, maybe 80 miles, Robbie. That was a debacle beyond debacle. And the funny thing about it, that was Pruitt's first game, and he ended up saving that season and going about 8-5. It was the next year that it collapsed on him. He went 3-7 the COVID year. So that was an auspicious way to start the season.
Oh, no, that's not the worst loss. The worst loss that I can remember, I think it was Randall. You're more of a historian than I am that can picture dates better than I can. But Tennessee was a win and get to the Sugar Bowl, and we lost to Vanderbilt. Was that Dobbs's last year?
Yes.
Yes, Butch Jones had them. All you had to do is beat Vanderbilt and go to the Sugar Bowl, and that changes a whole lot of things. And you lost to Vanderbilt. That was an embarrassment. That was the worst I mean, I was literally on the computer booking flights and hotels to New Orleans for New Year's. And I'm like, well, why are we what? No.
That's
the worst loss I can remember.
That team was so loaded. And
you know what a good coach would have done with that team?
Probably 11-1, 10-2 at the minimum. Josh Dobbs, Alvin Kamara, Josh Malone, 3 NFL linemen, Derek Burnett. Who's the linebacker that plays for the Lions? Outside linebacker from Tennessee. He's got the 3 names.
I don't know if he's with them anymore. I don't think he's with them anymore.
He was play outside linebacker in the NFL at one point. The guy that plays corner for the Steelers. That was the most loaded team Tennessee ever had to go 8-4.
And lose to Vanderbilt.
Yes.
That's the worst loss I can remember from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And that includes the Georgia State loss at home.
I just remember the Georgia State loss because it was opening day. I mean, I've got it pulled up. I forgot the score until just a minute ago. See if I can get my phone to focus. Oh, no. 38-30. Georgia State beats Tennessee. It was a bad one. All right, guys, let's move on. I want to, not a subject on the list, but we kind of touched this. What is your weekend looking at? Anybody barbecuing? Just boat? College football on Saturday? Sunday's games? Well, what are we doing this weekend?
All of the above. Boating, barbecuing. We have Randall. You've been to our family compound.
Yeah.
So we're going to be there. We're going to, hopefully it doesn't rain. So we're going to have a band there playing Saturday night. And so we'll do the lake, and then we'll have the sports on the projector. And then, just watching. And then Sunday, and then easing back into Monday for the Georgia Tech Clemson game. And then, and then it eases back into Thursday for the NFL.
Absolutely. Thursday, there's quite a few games on Thursday this week besides Tennessee.
I forgot Pitt and West Virginia were Thursday till Tom Texas. That's gonna be a great game.
It's a big game. Yeah.
That's a really big game.
The first game without Kenny Pickett. We'll see how that offense looks.
Yeah, and I was trying to find. I wrote down there were Sunday games. Oh yeah, Florida State, FSU on Sunday.
FSU, LSU.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, LSU.
Just because it's 2 programs, and like who's getting the best of that world right now? It's kind of 2 programs that are kind of just finding themselves.
I mean, you figure they're both kind of in limbo, and Cajun Man's looking to make a big impact with his first game at LSU. So,
I mean, if you lose that first game, if you're Brian Kelly, you lose that first game. He's not used to this, but man, the seat gets hot, and it gets hot quick in Baton Rouge. I
don't think the leash is going to be as long as it was at Notre Dame.
Yeah. Auburn, LSU, that you can win a championship with power. It doesn't matter.
Let me throw the question one we had. You opening day memories of USC football, good and bad. What do you have for us?
There are no kind of good ones, to be honest with you. That's just because I focus on the negative, and that's my curse. The worst I remember was, and this is how bad it was, SC didn't realize in the early 90s how reality had set in. They were coming off a few Rose Bowls, the junior seau eras. They played Memphis State at home. Memphis State. That's how long ago it was. They were Memphis State.
My
Huge
parents were
favorites. The USC quarterback was a kid named Reggie Perry. And it was just pathetic. Like, huge, not as big of a favorite as they were against Stanford that time with Harbaugh. I was at that game, and we were 41.5-point favorites and lost. But this game was just pathetic, and it was just reality setting in for all of the 90s, and that sucked. To lose to Memphis State, I mean, it was a total deviation for SC. Perry was more of a mobile quarterback, blah, 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 but they were so outcoached by Memphis State. It was embarrassing. I don't really have a best one. I was thinking about this, and even though it's not opening weekend, and even though Tom is not going to like this one, I always think of the Miracle at Michigan, which was what, 90?
Well, Colorado?
90, yeah. So Colorado and Michigan.
94?
7 in the country. I think it was 94.
Yeah.
Colorado was number 7 in the country. At Michigan, number 4. Colorado scored 2 touchdowns in the final 2 minutes and 16 seconds, including a Hail Mary, like the definition of Hail Mary. Cordell Stewart, the old Steelers quarterback,
Westbrook.
to Brian Westbrook and
Michael Westbrook.
Michael Westbrook. Brian Westbrook played on the Eagles. But it was a 60-something yard touchdown with 6 seconds left and time expired. And the final was 26-21. That always reminds me of opening.
Wasn't there?
That would be number 2 on my book.
I can't remember the exact years, Raj. Wasn't there a nice thumping where USC went to Auburn shortly after those 2 undefeated seasons where they went down to Auburn and beat them like 49-10 or something?
It was only 23-0, I think, or 23. Yeah, it was 23-0. That was Matt Leinart's first game, and SC was number 8 in the country, and Auburn was
before. That was before the undefeated season. No.
That was the undefeated season, game 1, because that was so they had just gone 13-1 or what have you.
Auburn went undefeated when USC went undefeated.
I think that was the next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was somewhere around there.
It was the year before SC beat Oklahoma, and then Auburn called themselves the People's Champion. So yeah, they shut them out 23-0.
That's a good first game for USC.
It was, dude. I didn't go. Have a lot of friends that did, and they said the people were super nice.
I've never been to Auburn either. I've heard it's awesome though.
They said it was awesome, and Auburn expected to win. Usually, people are nice to us when they know we're going to kill us. Like I went to Virginia. 50-14, Sanchez, many other games, and everybody's nice because they knew SC would murder them. But Auburn fans were talking, but they weren't rude about it. It was really odd. Everybody was. Nebraska was the same way. Very odd.
Well, a lot of it's come enjoy. Like that's what I've heard. LSU is like, come enjoy the tailgate when the game starts. It's on.
I can give SC a memory. Tennessee opened the 1981 season by playing number 1 Georgia, who was coming off the national championship and lost, I think it was 44-0. And then played game 2 in LA against USC, who was ranked either 2nd or 3rd and got beat like 42-0. And the 81 season opened by playing 1-3 on the road and just getting dumped. 0-2, and it gave up like 80 points. So I was a freshman in high school. I remember it to this day.
Kind of like Auburn that year, that before they got the People's Championship, they ended up like with a sub 500 record, which didn't happen too much back then. Usually, if you thought you were a good team, you were pretty good.
Well, let's start rolling into this a little bit. Tom tweeted out something that we received today, and we're going to stay on college football for most of this show, but I want to talk about possibility of expanding the playoffs to 12 teams. I had 2 reactions instantly. One, good, because I've always been a proponent of expanding the playoffs. But two was, if we go to 12 teams and you've got USC and UCLA in the Big Ten, you've got Oklahoma and Texas and the SEC, does it not hurt the super conferences if we increase the number of teams? You're talking about maybe getting an automatic bid in a Pac-10, I guess they'll call it, or 12, where the best two teams may be Washington and Oregon. Big 12, Baylor and Oklahoma State, as opposed to the Big 10, and you've got Michigan, you've got Ohio State, you got Michigan State, you got UCLA, USC, Wisconsin, SEC, you got LSU, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. Is it punishing the super conferences, Tom, if we expand the playoffs?
I think in a way, yes, because that pretty much takes out the fact that you're going to get the majority of your teams in from those two conferences. Is it possible to say that the majority of those 12 teams could be from those conferences? Yeah, probably. But do I see? When I read the story, I was a little surprised that they go from 4 to 12. I think the more feasible number that I see is probably 8, because anything after 8, they are who they are, and I don't think they fit into that category as a championship caliber team. Usually they're 2, maybe 3 losses, depends on what the program is. But I don't see it being 12. But if it is, I think that definitely hurts the premise of the super conferences, and it that could possibly keep schools like Notre Dame from joining the Big Ten. But will this happen? I'm not sure. My opinion, I think 12 is a little bit too high. Like I said, 8 is more fitting, but we'll see. I think it was the 24-25 season that they're looking to make this happen. So I guess we'll see, obviously starting next year when those schools join their conferences, we'll have a year to see what could possibly play out for a possible 2-power conference system. But yeah, I think a 12-team playoff would definitely hurt a 2 super conference setup.
All right, Raj, we're talking 12 teams. What if you grandfathered 2 SEC teams, 2 Big Ten teams in, then maybe 1 berth to the Big 12 and Pac-10 12, and then the rest goes at large?
It sounds like affirmative action in a sense. This is, for me, and mind you, I'm going
By
on
the way, I do think that's the first time my name has been associated with affirmative action. So let me celebrate that.
That's probably true. Then again, they gave you a radio show. Just kidding. Bear with me because I am going on very, very little sleep, and I need my 11 hours. I got like 2.5. Wah. I don't even have a baby. But I was thinking about this, and it seems, why did super conferences get created? It was essentially, in my opinion, to, well, number one, money and TV, but also to provide a sense of parity in that you could have conference games that are no longer non-conference games where you're scheduling different agreements and TVs and you're playing here and we have to play there and blah, blah, blah. We seem to know more, if that makes sense. I told you I was out of it. I probably shouldn't have. I've had 1 beer too, but it just, I think the reason for the super conferences as of now, it's boring because we all know that 2 or 3 of the teams are coming from one conference and 1 or the other is coming from another and maybe an independent, and the latter 2 are going to get smoked. And this is sort of a way to even things out, because if I'm a college kid, if it's a 4-team playoff, which it is now, and I'm pretty sure I can tell you 3 teams that are going every year, there's not as much of an incentive to go elsewhere. Whereas if there's 12 teams and you're in big conferences, and you can play all over the country, and anybody's really got a shot. And it's in that sense, that's affirmative action. I think it does take away the allure of going to Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State, because those guys, great programs and amazing coaches, but if you go there with the talent that just keeps coming in, the odds are every year you're going to be there. And now those odds aren't the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kind of the point I was getting at too. Yeah, your own task.
Oh, great. I'm so out of it. I'm thinking like Randall.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Getting smarter.
I wish. But that's all I have.
Davis, how would you feel expansion? And you're always the persona non grata of the NCAA. Are you looking for money here, NCAA? Just getting a money grab?
Oh my God, this is desperation at its finest. Like, oh my God, can we get a TV contract locked in with this 12-team playoffs so we don't die? This is your back against the wall, throwing everything to see if it sticks. Look, there's not a 6 team in the last decade that deserves to be in the playoff, much less 10 or 12. This is strictly a TV. Please throw us a lifeline and let us survive. Because no, if there's going to be a 12-team playoff, it's going to be the Big Ten, the SEC. They're joining together, AFC, NFC. They're negotiating their own contracts or their own network. Look, this is just like, why would the Big Ten and the SEC ever agree to this at all? They won't, because
They won't.
don't ever restrict our members from getting this playoff. The SEC, if they go to 12 or if they go to 8 or whatever it is, it could be 4 Big Ten, 4 SEC, and that will be a bigger draw than, especially with the LA teams coming. That's a bigger draw than what the rest of the NCAA can pull in together. So no, this is pure money grab, like just holding on to power any means necessary. Let's do a 12-team playoff. Let's lock it in. Because essentially what the NCAA is doing, we have the NCAA tournament. That's our cash cow. If somehow, even though we don't own the playoff, if somehow we can just tie our wagon to this, maybe we survive. No, this is a dog that's dead and that's dying in the backyard. Take a gun out and shoot it and put it out of misery.
Like we talked a couple weeks ago about, the death of the NCAA. I think you're spot on, Robbie. I think this is just a last-ditch effort to try and hold on to some sort of superiority, but I don't see this going beyond just speculation. That's probably just reckless speculation on the NCAA's part.
Well, they're leaking it for a reason, to just get it out there.
Yeah, it won't stick, I don't believe.
Are you totally against any expansion of the playoffs, or under circumstances do you favor expansion, Rob?
No. I'm off. Like I've said this from the beginning. Look, copy the NFL. 16 Big Ten teams, 16 SEC teams, 7 teams in the playoffs. Each like the NFL's perfect. Copy it. Do it college style. 7 teams. Win. Put them in the pods. Win your pod. Then there's 2 wild cards. Play it out. And then a Big Ten SEC championship, whatever you want to call it. It seems to work.
All right, Tom, you like that proposal, or?
Yeah, but I don't see it going to that point, for the simple fact that they have all these meaningless bowl games, that you're going to have to fill in slots. But I agree. I think that would be great television. I think ratings would be through the roof. And obviously the majority of this country wants more than just 4 teams, because like you said earlier, it's the same you can write them in almost every year, the 3 of the 4 teams that are going to be in it every year. So I think that gives a little bit more of a chance for a 5 or a 6 seed, or maybe even a 7 seed to possibly, go on a little run and get to the championship game. But I don't know if I see that necessarily. I mean, possibly, but there has to be expansion. I do believe that there has to be expansion within the next couple of years, because especially with the super conferences coming into play and NIL deals bringing in more kids to different colleges. And so, yeah, I mean, expansion has to happen.
Somebody's got to update us on your picks when after you make them. So
I'm trying to turn off that sound, but I have such a primitive setup that maybe it's a good thing. I've got 8th in a 12 team, and I hate 8th also. So any advice is appreciated. I figured I'll do the opposite of what Chang did. I think Chang was 8th in our league. I'll do the opposite.
Hey, my advice is to draft running backs at some point.
No.
All right, guys, I want to run around the table. Let's play this out. I've got last year's BCS in front of me. In the 4th place pod, the first game would be Notre Dame at Utah. Pick me a winner.
Notre Dame at who?
Utah.
I go Utah.
Tom?
I like Utah. I like their leadership on offense, their experience level.
Same for you, though, Raj?
Oh, yeah. This year, yes.
No, this was last year.
Oh. I'd go with them. Yeah, they were probably a bit better overall, especially defensively with Devin Lloyd and company. So, yeah, Utah.
Utah versus Cincinnati. Raj, and then we'll work backwards.
Utah. I mean, I know Cincinnati pretty well, and I know they were talented across the board, but I'm overall no, Utah.
Tom.
Yeah, I like Utah. I don't think Cincinnati saw an offense like Utah all year, playing in Conference USA. I think they matched up well in their bowl game in the first half, but ultimately the speed ended up killing them, and Utah would have too much of that.
Robbie, you agree Utah over Cincinnati?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you take the premise that Cincinnati's biggest win last year was over Notre Dame. We say right. Utah handles Notre Dame. So, yeah, I think Utah wins over Cincinnati.
All right. Then we got
called transitive property.
We have a 12 seed to the final.
Doesn't exist in college football.
All right. In the 3 bracket, Ohio State plays Oklahoma.
No.
We're going to give this one to the Michigan man. Ohio State, Oklahoma.
I'm going to go with Ohio State because their receivers are on another level. C.J. Stroud, the ability to take over the game. But it would be close because Ohio State's defense last year was putrid, to say the least. So be a close game, but for the simple fact that Ohio State's offense would ultimately turn into juggernauts after they got mollywopped by Michigan, definitely go with Ohio State.
Wait. Before I answer, who was the crappy team in the playoff last year? There was Georgia, Alabama,
Cincinnati.
Well, that would be
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati and Michigan.
And Michigan.
Okay. So it was a 2-team playoff last year. Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Robbie. I'm going to give you Oklahoma and Ohio State.
I guess I'll go OSU, but I don't know why. Just.
Right. You got an opinion on that one?
Me?
Oklahoma, Ohio State.
Oh, no, I'm all Ohio State.
All right, Ohio State versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Robbie.
Stop it. Last year's team?
Yeah,
Georgia.
Tom?
Well, how many defensive players went in the NFL draft? 12?
15.
15? Yeah, as good as Ohio State's offense was, no, they couldn't touch Georgia defense. It'd be a
Okay.
blowout.
All right. So that gives us Georgia to the Final Four. All right. Raj, let's give you the first of the 7-10 matchup. Baylor, Michigan State.
Baylor.
Tom?
I like Baylor. They got hot at the right time. And Kenny Walker was dealing with injuries at the end of the season. And when you game plan for him, you stop him, you win the game. Baylor wins.
Raj? Rob?
Sweet Baylor.
Baylor, Michigan, Robbie.
Man, this is actually the first tough one so far. I think Baylor beats more. Michigan beats more people. I think Baylor's better coached. I'm gonna say last year's team, Michigan, and a nail biter.
All right, interesting. Tom, you don't get the final vote. Raj, Michigan, Baylor.
Yeah, I think Baylor is better coached, but Michigan last year was a monster, especially across the defensive front. 2 great running backs. Yeah, that team would not have lost to Baylor. Bohannon would have been running for his life.
All right, Tom, your vote's pointless, but I'm assuming you were going to go to Michigan.
Even for as bad as they did look against Georgia, which was bad, in Georgia game plan for Hutchinson for sure. You had a two-headed monster in Hutchinson Ojabo, and you had John Ross back there at linebacker. So I think Michigan's defense would have been swarming. But on the flip side, I don't think Michigan would have scored a whole lot. So I could see, very, very low-scoring game. Michigan would squeak it out, defensive score. Michigan wins.
This is the first time I've been a dissenting vote. I would have took Baylor in that game.
Why?
I thought it was going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised.
Because Baylor was coming off the bad late in the year, and I don't see them getting beat again. Just right there, 2 in a row. And I think talent-wise, they're very equal football teams.
Yeah.
But my dissenting vote does not matter. The majority rules. And I think the best matchup of the first round would have been Ole Miss, Oklahoma State. I'm gonna let Robbie. You can go first, but this is the first one I'm saying is a coin toss.
No, Oklahoma State. Gundy's been there longer. More talent, more consistency, more level-headed, less mistakes out of Gundy. Kiffin gets cute in these moments. He's just not a big-time coach. No, give me Oklahoma State.
Tom?
Yeah, I agree with Robbie. In the big games, Lane Kiffin just seems to try to do too much. And even though Matt Corral was there, veteran quarterback, definitely proved himself, I think ultimately in the end, Oklahoma State would probably pull it out based on a bumbling coach in Lane Kiffin.
All right, and then, Raj, we would assume Alabama over Utah, Georgia over Michigan that we already saw, and then Georgia over Alabama. So Utah would have been the big winner in this scenario, going from a 12 seed to a Final Four. What level of story would have been that run for Utah to get to Alabama, Tom?
I mean, it's Utah. Nobody really talks about it. And I think when we talked about the Pac-12 earlier a couple weeks ago, I think after Utah was mentioned, it was like I forgot about that team. But yeah, you got a bunch of scrappers, Devin Lloyd's story with living, in a car for a year and their quarterback story, his dream was to play in the Rose Bowl, and it would have been epic. And they're coached as good as anybody in the country. So it definitely would have been a fun little storyline to run with.
Absolutely. Welcome our friend Brandon Change to the show.
Yeah, boys. Sorry, I'm late.
Just in time. Then
Utah's got a chance this year of making the playoff. A really good chance.
Okay.
Pac-12 might have a an automatic bid possibly just with their strength.
Well, if you assume, and even we may get, if you assume Alabama and Georgia are in, Ohio State's
maybe.
in, then Utah's got a good chance on the West side.
Yeah, I'm gonna go throw Clemson in because when we get our final predictions, I didn't realize how talented this Clemson team was. So they have jumped way up my board. So we'll get there in just a minute. Brendan, Ohio State got beaten opening round, so you didn't miss anything of the 12-team playoffs. All right, guys, we've got about another about 45 minutes. We're going to wrap up early tonight. I'm going to go tuck myself in bed. I'm going to get me 7 hours of sleep, and I'm going to wake up and grab Robbie Davis, and we're going to go be rednecks in the orange in the student section tomorrow night. Yeah, go Vols.
Wait, you guys play tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. We play Thursday night. Let's move on.
Are you going to be in Knoxville tomorrow, Raj?
I'm not. I was there all day today, and I just got back.
I mean, our Capri Suns with vodka in them, they're not going to drink themselves.
Even though that place got shut down somehow.
Weird.
I didn't know you guys were playing tomorrow, man. That's why it's a robbery. That team it's a top 25 team, and I don't think they were preseason top 25, which is stupid.
They were number 26.
Preseason ranking.
And I know, but when you click on ESPN scores, it shows the top 25, and I don't look at other rankings. So if they were top 25, I probably would have changed my schedule and been there. Thanks a lot, Associated Press.
You just gotta get back into USC basketball mode. Then you check all teams. That's when you look when they're playing. So just pretend it's basketball season.
Basketball mode's a little different, but yeah, I hear you.
Let's start with a Thursday, September the 1st. A couple of games. Let's start with the Vols, minus 35 for the betting public. Ball State, worst team in the MAC. Tennessee, high-powered offense. I believe that Vegas is asking you to bet on Tennessee, Brandon.
They are. I think they opened at like 33.5, I believe. And now it's gotten up to 35.5 on some sites. So 33.5, I was still a little skeptical. I think they can cover that. I was looking at betting them 35.5. Makes me pause slightly. That's a lot of points, and I don't know how much they're going to want to run this team into the ground once they get up. Like once they get a comfortable lead, winning by 27 is good enough for them, I think. So I think it's, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to bet on.
Robbie Davis, it's not NASCAR, but it's your insight.
This is a lock. I bet them early in the week on 33.5. I'd be comfortable on 35. Look, this is not a statement game, but it's definitely, look, there's a new state and the renovations are opening up. This is a come see us game, and there is going to be no mercy on this team. They're going to keep scoring. Heupel wants that reputation of lighting it up, and just this speed offense. When you get this up-tempo offense, and I've seen no hint of Heupel slowing down. He's not a Saban type that will just be like, yeah, let's focus on how we block on the tackle. I mean, obviously no criticism of Saban because he's the greatest, but Heupel just doesn't seem like to be like that. So I think it's going to be 65 to 10, 13. It's going to be bad.
Derek Jasper losing by 27 in the midway of the third quarter. I could see that. Very much. Robbie, how late are we staying? We staying until it's 35?
You're my driver, man. You dictate the rules.
All right.
I can walk a lot, but I can't walk from Knoxville.
I want to jump over to the Big Ten for a real game. And Tom, you talked about earlier in the week, should we put Penn State on upset alert? Penn State, Purdue, Thursday night football. I certainly like what you made the case for Purdue.
Well, Coach Franklin has been known to a lot drop the ball. We'll say in the games he should win, and Penn State has probably been the most unpredictable school in the Big Ten the last couple of years. One week they look like world beaters, and then the next they drop the ball. And I think if there's a team specifically in the West that has shown a lot of upside, it's Purdue. They fought hard the last 2 years, and I think that's an old bit, picking Purdue in the West. But I like this. I like Purdue here. It's and I think Vegas even likes it too. It's the numbers at like 3.5 right now. So
3.5, 3.5.
Yeah, so I definitely think, and that game's in West Lafayette, isn't it?
Yep.
So I think that the home field is going to give Purdue the advantage. Penn State has, like I said, they've been a little wishy-washy the last couple of years, and how's their offense going to look? I think they always bring it on defense, but it's going to be a classic Big Ten game. It's going to be one in the trenches, and I think Purdue pulls it out and makes a statement to start the Big Ten season, and lets the big teams in the West, the Iowas and the Wisconsins know that, hey, you know what, we're in this conversation too. I like the Boilermakers. Boiler up.
JP was just talking about at the quarterback position at Purdue. And I had the starter here just a minute ago. But anyway, Brandon, you seem to agree very, very strongly with Tom's thoughts.
Yeah, totally. They are a little on the uprise from typical status. Typically, all they do is just ruin people's seasons in the Big Ten that have an actual shot or anything else. And it's James Franklin, I think, is kind of on the last leg there. He's a wild card, man, and I'm not a fan of that guy. He had one good year at Vanderbilt and then jumped ship here or whatever. It's crazy to me it's that close, and when Penn State's supposed to be the dominant team. So the 3.5 points, I think home field advantage gives that 3 points to Purdue. So you're talking a half a point. I really like Purdue here in this situation. They have nothing to lose. There's no preseason rankings, no expectations for them. They're going out, like Tom said, they're going to make a statement. And unfortunately, it's going to make the Big Ten look a little worse because one of our top so-called teams is going to fall to Purdue.
Robbie, last time we saw Purdue and Aiden O'Connell, he threw for 534 yards, 5 touchdowns against our Tennessee team in a 48-45 overtime win. Purdue definitely can score. The number is 53. Do you like over or under there?
Well, one, that was the worst down call in history.
We won. We don't have to say
Purdue, that was bad. But yeah, nothing says football season like the Big Ten East being scared of Purdue on the road. But I think Purdue will score and they will get some points. Look, it's college football, man. I like the over on almost everything because it's such a slow sport. It's like the timeout after every first down, a stop clock. It's just a slow sport. So give me the over on almost every game, and I'll take it.
All right, Raj. First, how's your picks going? Raj is in a draft. We got to catch up with him.
PPR so far, Justin Jefferson, Diggs, and Nick Chubb. And I'm up right now
so horrible.
With I think I'll be okay. Deontay Johnson, Waddle, I don't want. Cooks, Kyle Pitts, David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Pitts.
Yeah.
Got to take
It's
Pitts.
simple.
I mean, Mariota. And I don't like taking tight ends that early. If I lose the damn league, it's your guys' fault.
Flex.
I
All
never take tight ends early.
You're the one that's drafting on the show.
And
That's
I've
your-
done pretty okay.
We have 16 watchers right now, Rod. So here's your chance. West Virginia is a 7.5 point underdog to
West
Pitt,
Virginia.
the renewal of the Blackyard Brawl. And for the Braves fan watching, they just won 3-2. Mets win 2-1. Stays 3 games. Go ahead, Rod.
Hey, well, real quick, before you answer, Randall, I've got the U.S. Open on live. So where's that game at? Is it at Pitt or is it at West Virginia?
It
It's
is
at Pitt.
At Pitt. Okay. And West Virginia's 3-point favorites?
no Pitt is a
Nope,
7.5.
Pitt's a 7.5.
7.5. But Vegas and most people like West Virginia in this game to cover. Pitt lost a lot. They do return their defensive line. That's very good. And they do have Keaton Slovis, who's not that great. I watched a lot of him. So I'm going West Virginia in a very heated backyard brawl, a rivalry that has sadly not occurred every year. And so I think West Virginia covers. With JT Daniels, the battle of 2 USC forward quarterbacks.
This was a top 10 rivalry before the ending of it. Wouldn't you call it, Tom?
It's the battle of who's your sister? Who's your sister? Yeah, it absolutely was a top 10 rivalry. And I think, looking at these two teams now, Pitt's ranked 17th. I mean, West Virginia is kind of on the precipice, but I'm shocked that it's a Thursday night game. Seeing that, this game has a title. You would think that would be reserved for like a 3:30, or if anything, a game on its own. But hey, to the college football fan, that's a win here. But I mean, I agree. I think that's a high number, especially for a rivalry game. 7.5 seems a little high, and then the under seems a little low to me. So I like West Virginia to cover, but I like the over as well. How is Pitt gonna respond with Pickett now in the NFL? That's a big loss to overcome. So, and I think West Virginia is going to be ready to play because Slovis jumped on the helm and had some choice words to say about West Virginia. And I don't care what anybody says. Locker room talk is real when it comes to college game, and I think West Virginia is going to come out ready to play. I don't know if they'll necessarily win, but that's correct.
That's tradition, though. I thought the same, and then I researched it. They both say that, but West Virginia is something that's commonly said on the Pittsburgh side.
Interesting for a guy that just came out of the transfer portal from USC and really didn't amount to a whole lot there for him to say, But hey, I guess he's embracing the rivalry, but I do think West Virginia will come out hungry. Pitt's going to win this game, I believe, because it's at home, but it'll be closer than 7.5. So,
like you said, we know our family trees out west. He's got to throw a stake in the ground, a flag in the ground, and be like, "Look here, you're going to come over to me. I'm not going to mess around." There's a real live ground war going on there, and it's not just about football.
Boys, our buddy
the Hatfield and McCoy's here.
Our boy JP Justin bet the house on West Virginia to cover. Brandon,
I agree.
You are the man, the expert.
Yeah. No, I definitely think West Virginia covers here. I think Pitt's a little in over their head with this 7.5. I like Pitt to win the game. Probably closer to a 3-point game. West Virginia's definitely going to cover. I would definitely bet on that as well.
All right, Derek Jesper, West Virginia to cover. All right, moving into Saturday. One game that's not on our list that I think needs to be on. Well, it is on our list. The Arkansas Razorbacks and the Cincinnati Bearcats, both top 25 teams, backside teams. I really didn't expect Cincinnati to be ranked where they are. Is it last year's? Is it last year, or is Cincinnati for real a legit top 20 team? Raj, we'll start with you.
I think they're in there because they still have a lot of talent, especially on defense, and they still have Luke Fickell.
Yeah.
Being said, I don't care how much talent they have on defense and how much speed they supposedly have on the edges. KJ Jefferson and Arkansas and Sam Pittman are a different animal. I think Arkansas covers all day, every day in this game.
I'm with you. Brendan Chain, Arkansas is a 6.5 point favorite, total 52. Again, that's another one I like Arkansas to cover. And I like the 52. I like the over.
I don't necessarily disagree. Here's the thing for Cincinnati, there's a fork in the road here. But this is going to show, are they a one-off, team that was good and kind of made it, like to Raj's point, they've got quite a bit of people returning? Or is this starting to become a program under Luke Fickell? Like, are we going to start to see them in the mix and involved in the top 25 or whatever, for years to come? So I'm anxious to see how they respond after such a great season last year. I mean, gut tells me Arkansas all day. This is a game I'm staying away from just because of the unknowns, and I would not bet on this personally. But if I were to bet, I would have to go with Arkansas to cover. But I'm anxious to see how Cincinnati bounces back after that season last year.
Robbie Davis, you look like you have some strong opinion on this game.
I have a strong opinion on this whole thing. So, back to the West Virginia Pitt thing. Look, so you have to think about what's the point of view? The point of view of the odds makers about 3 years ago was people that come to Vegas. Now the point of view of the odds makers are half the United States at a moment's notice. So they set lines thinking what you're going to think. And so what they're thinking is Pitt -7.5. Pitt was good last year. They're going to be good this year. Just people's common thought. Well, they don't know. Most people don't even realize that they lost a first-round quarterback. They lost talent in the NFL. It's just this is what it was last year. Give me the points in West Virginia. The same with Arkansas and Cincinnati. They're going to think, look, Arkansas is in the SEC. We're going to bet on them. Oh, maybe – and Cincinnati lost Ritter, so that's it. There's no talent there. They don't realize Luke Fickell is building a brand there. He's building talent. And so these lines are made for the masses to make mistakes. And so, yeah, give me West Virginia with the points and give me Cincinnati these points because I'm going against what they think the dummies of the masses are going to do. So these first weekends, yeah, I'm taking what is perceived as losses and drop-offs. I'm taking good programs, and I'm betting on them.
Interesting. Tom, bring us home on that game.
Well said.
Yeah, I look at Cincinnati in the same token as I would in Georgia, in a sense that Georgia lost a lot on defense, but their offense stayed intact. Whereas Cincinnati, they got a lot of defense coming back, and they lost quite a bit on offense. So that's a tricky one. And I think in the college game, coaching matters. Look at Brandon's Buckeyes. I mean, what the Buckeyes are able to do with 2 and 3 stars, that's not anything other than coaching. That's just the ability. And Luke Fickell has proven that he's a legit coach, and and kudos to him for, sticking around in Cincinnati. I'd like to believe that other bigger programs have come knocking, and he sees the fact that he's building a brand down there in Cincinnati. So I think that's going to take them pretty far. Ranked 23, I think that's probably the right place for them because it's a big question mark specifically on offense. But you got to like what Arkansas did last year. A couple years, and let's face it, Arkansas hasn't been what they used to be years ago. They've been kind of cellar dwellers in the SEC, and they finally have turned the corner. And those pigs are going to be hooting and hollering down there in Arkansas. And 6.5, I kind of like the Razorbacks here to cover. And it's another situation where home field matters. That crowd's going to be raucous. There's going to be a whole lot of people drinking in the stands, and it's going to get that team fired up. So, Pig, I think they're going to cover this one, and I would take the over on it as well.
Woo, Pig! I've heard it so much in my sleep. Derek Jasper, the Arkansas win. Justin Ballings, Cincinnati is a fringe top 5 or Power 5 team. They don't reload like the big boys. All right. Robbie Davis, you are our expert SEC guy. We will start with you in the Dan Lanning Bowl. Former defensive coordinator of Georgia comes back with Oregon, ranked 11th, to play Georgia in the Mercedes-Benz Dome at 3:30 on national TV. Georgia, a 17-point favorite.
Yeah, so Georgia wins. I'll put that out there quickly. I do think Oregon maybe leads at halftime. I think they keep it close, and then talent just prevails. Kirby Smart's a top 5 coach in this game, and they got top 5 talent for the last 5 years. It's just a war of attrition at this point. I think Oregon's really good, and I think you can't do the Kirby Smart assistants, the Saban assistants at this point. But look, I mean, they study the blueprint, but man, until you get the talent, you can build good race cars. You don't have the engine, you can't go faster. And so he'll know what to do, but Georgia ultimately has the most talent. I've just talked myself into, I think Georgia does cover. I think Georgia at the second half lays it on. I'm switching my pick. I think Georgia covers.
All right, let's work our way around the horn. Tom, Georgia covers. Is Robbie?
I don't think Georgia covers. I look back to Oregon last year when they went down to Columbus. Didn't have a snowball's chance in the Hades to come out of there with a win, and they did. They've lost a lot offensively. So I don't see them going into them there and winning because take nothing away from Buckeye fans. I think this game being indoors, or maybe they'll have the roof open, who knows. But those Georgia Bulldog fans, SC fans, I don't know. We'll see. They're going to cover. I agree with Robbie. I think first half they're going to compete because, I think everyone's going to have, they're going to be fired up and ready to roll for their new coach. But second half, Georgia will turn it on. Their offense is what's coming back. Their offense, to me, is the reason why they're ranked number 3. So I will take Oregon to cover, and that 53 to me is very low. I like the over.
Yeah.
Interesting. Raj Mehta, before we get off to the Georgia-Oregon game, Kyle Wright just won his 17th game. How lights out has he been this year?
I mean, I want to check his underwear label because it doesn't look like that's Kyle Wright. That's for sure. But he's been the man, and the Braves desperately needed that after Ian Anderson and other pitchers not being the same. So, we'll see. He does get a lot of run support, but his confidence is sky high, and it's obvious that everyone knew that was within him. He has the talent. So, I mean, that's outstanding. And, they're a better team than the Mets. I've watched the Mets multiple times. I watched them tonight. DeGrom had a no-hitter into the 5th or 6th, and they still won by 1 run, and LA had their chances. Trust me. There was a robbery of a home run by Justin Turner, Brandon Nimmo, and he celebrated like it was the World Series. And that's cool, man. I thought it was a great catch. Good for them. But they're also a team that has not been there before, and that means a lot. You got to pay your dues in baseball.
Yep.
But all right, we'll go back to college football. Bo Nix, former Auburn quarterback, makes his start against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, that was Oregon's got 2 dope linebackers. Sewell is a monster.
Yeah.
Justin Flo looks like a monster, but he can't stay healthy. They lost a lot across the defensive front, and that's where Georgia's going to pound them. As long as Bo Nix is the starting quarterback, I think Georgia covers. In just one of those methodical turnover every 6 possessions by Oregon, and Georgia ends up pulling away. And one of those games that doesn't seem like it's a blowout, but it's a blowout.
I like your scenario there. All right, Brandon Chain, you got anything to follow up on that? Because you're
I mean, I'm just going to regurgitate what these guys said. I think it's close, halftime, possibly even Oregon up. But once it comes down to the 4th quarter, I mean, I think they see it slipping away, and Georgia just keeps the pressure, the gas on, and
just offensive line and defensive line. It's just much.
Those trenches. When you get those big bodies just laying on you, play after play after play, and I mean, they're just running up the score. I mean, there's no fight left. It's game 1. Like, what has Oregon got to prove at that point when they're down? I just think it turns quickly in the 4th quarter. I think it's a pretty close 3-quarter game, though. But
and I mean, a close loss does not hurt them at all, because I mean that's essentially what Alabama and Georgia have used against each other the last 4 or 5 years.
It doesn't, but if Georgia wins by 21,
that's a problem. Yeah,
which could happen quickly in the 4th quarter. I mean, 2 quick strikes.
Yeah, Oregon needs to keep it close, and I hope they keep it close. I'm tired of seeing the same teams in the playoffs.
Breaking news: Serena Williams upset tonight in the U.S.
That was awesome.
U.S. Open.
That's my final thoughts. The U.S. Open.
All right, Brandon Chain. We go next to what I call the marquee matchup of the night. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 5, Notre Dame. 7:30 from the Big House in Columbus. 2 and 5 carries a 17-point.
Oh, Pa.
17-point.
It's a Big House in Columbus.
Actually,
in Columbus. Yeah, I'm getting tired. It's in the bigger house. It's in Columbus.
Weren't they like 14, 15, 16-point favorites against Anthony Brown in Oregon last year? And they got beat at home. I don't know. Chain may have blocked that, but I'm not saying that's going to happen here because Notre Dame. But
different defensive coordinator, different everything.
Oh yeah, well, totally.
Our defensive line has completely changed this year.
I thought Larry Johnson's been there and has been. Am I wrong?
No, we got the new dude from Oklahoma. I can't think of his name right now.
Why don't you say so?
Yeah, so we're stacked on defense. This is going to be exactly the statement game that Ohio State needs and that Notre Dame needs for them to not be a top 5 preseason every single year after year after year just because of Notre Dame. So this is what's going to happen. We're going to dominate them, and 17.5 points, put your money on that. That's my bet your nuts for the night, and I have a parlay to put with that later. This is all day Ohio State, and it's going to be embarrassing.
Wow, that's already stepping out there. All right, Rod, you are the guy kind of needling there. Let's hear the the Raj, and then we'll come to Tom, and then Robbie Davis.
No, I agree. Being said after the Oregon statement, one thing about that is Anthony Brown was not a great quarterback, but he was a pretty good college quarterback. And Ohio State underestimated his mobility and ability to make plays outside of the pocket. You don't have to worry about that with Notre Dame. They lost a lot as well. I mean, they're, especially Williams Williams. I can't think right now. Their running back who was awesome, Tyree
Williams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have another good guy that's a back, but I think Ohio State learned their lesson in the sense that, like, they're not going to play around. This is a chance to beat a top 5 team, and how Notre Dame's top 5 is beyond any of us. And they're going to hammer them. And they're going to hammer them because they don't have to do a lot. Like we talked about Tennessee, Heupel is a very innovative offensive guy. He's not going to show that much. He doesn't have to. Whereas with Ohio State, I mean, they play Notre Dame football. They're just better than them across the board. And I think they're going to pound them into submission. And I think they cover without much of an issue. And plus a new coach, and the questions are going to start coming, even though I like Freeman. But
I like Freeman too. But
yeah, I don't think Ohio State has any trouble in this game.
Freeman's a great players guy. Like,
But
people can rally around him, but can he really make those in-game decisions? Like, who knows?
it's not easy.
He's
All
a
right,
good
Tom.
linebacker for Ohio State.
I know you have one eye towards Columbus at all points.
You always got to keep one eye on them. I think this is.
Is that how you Michigan people look out there? One eye.
This gonna get fun
in the rear view. We keep our eye in the rear view. I think Brandon's right. This is probably the ultimate statement game for both programs. If you're Notre Dame and you lose, I think that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the season, similarly to how their loss last year was in Cincinnati. And Ohio State, if they come out and play the brand of football that we all know they can play, that sets the tone for everybody else in the rest of the country to let them know how good they could be. I have to admit, I had a different opinion going into this discussion. And I had to think a little bit. Marcus Freeman's ruffled a little bit of feathers in the eyes of Buckeye fans. He's kind of forgot where he's come from. And looking back to their bowl game, now they played Oklahoma State last year in the bowl game, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. First half, they looked great. Second half, they got beat soundly. So which team is going to come out and looking at who's going to be at quarterback for Notre Dame, the guy that was in the second half of that game is probably going to be your starter. So coming into tonight, I thought Notre Dame was going to probably run with them, not win, but run with them. But I really think Ohio State is probably the most hungriest team in the country, especially after that horrible loss up here in Ann Arbor last year, 42-27. But anyways, I think it's a statement game.
First time in 12 years?
11. Yeah.
Who's counting?
Yeah, right, whatever. Anyways, C.J. Stroud, probably the best quarterback in the country. With that, I've said it time and time again, that receiver core.
Smith and Jigma.
Yeah, and Harrison Jr. It's sick. And I think the rest of the country is going to see, and it wouldn't shock me if they move into the two slot after Saturday night in the Big Toilet Bowl. Give me the Buckeyes.
USC receivers are better. Sorry.
Yeah, I just think Ohio State's got too much firepower, and Brandon's right. The one thing they focused on in this off season was their defense, and from everything I've heard, that defensive front is pretty good. It's pretty good. So
a couple comments. One, Tom, I believe is directed directly at you.
Yeah, Pops. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see at the end of the year. We'll see at the end of the year.
And JP, if Ohio State's defense gives up a bunch of points, don't crown them until they fix that defense. JP, I agree with you. Robbie, Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Yeah, so this to me is the ruin the weekend game. We're gonna be all excited about college football and how great it is, and then Ohio State's gonna blow the doors off Notre Dame, and then you're gonna watch Carolina and the Browns on the next Sunday, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, look at how even though these teams suck, look how good all these players are." Like for me at least, that first weekend of watching college and watching NFL it's a whole different ball game. And so this is gonna be the game that's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's the same old team, same old. It's gonna be Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. Yeah, this is the blow the doors off the weekend. I think it's gonna be a great weekend until this game. Ohio State's gonna blow out Notre Dame, and then here we go.
I am going to go back at you and let you have the first. I think the ruin the weekend game happens to our friends down in Gainesville that believe that Utah cannot go in there and blow Florida out, because I love Utah in this game. Robbie?
Yeah, I agree. I love Utah. They're better coached. They're more talented. The only thing that's against them, and I'm not sure what time the game starts.
7 o'clock.
Game, what is it?
7 o'clock.
They'll be drunk.
Oh, it's a night game. So, okay, but I've been to Gainesville many times. There's no break in the temperature. It's always hot, but it's a little less surface of the sun at that time. But it's going to be hot. But I'm sure Utah's been down there. I hope they've been down there for a week or two to get ready for the temperature. They should be if they haven't. So there's going to be some cramps. But, yeah, I can't imagine this Florida team beating Utah, even though they beat Tennessee, regardless of whatever happens. But, no, I like Utah minus 2.5. I like Utah probably by 14.
The only thing I will say about this, and Tom will come to you, Anthony Richards. And I don't know how much you've seen him. To me, it's something special. Anthony Richards has a chance to go to be 2022's breakout player of the year. I thought last year, if Florida gets Anthony Richardson in the game earlier, gets him adjusted to the offense, we may not necessarily have a change at Florida. To me, he's a one and done kind of athlete. But Utah's the better football team, correct?
Yeah, I think so. But I have to be honest. I think we talked about this game probably about a month ago, and that number was 3. And here we are. We're 3 days before the game, and it's still 3. So that tells me that tells me that Vegas is a little iffy with this one too. And I believe it's because of the weather. I got the weather pulled up right now. The day high is 90, but they're calling for thunderstorms in the evening. So you have
it's hot as hell there. It's miserable.
You're gonna have high humidity. So I do believe that's what Vegas is looking at in this situation with that number being at 3. It just kind of surprises me that a team with the potential that Utah has, with being a possible, college football playoff team, if they play their cards right. But I do think Utah wins. I think they're obviously better coached. They've got the experience offensively. And you hope that they've been down there acclimating themselves to the weather. If that's the case, then, you like that. But, I think with the over is 51.5. I could see that going over. It's college. It's high. It's shootout. It like Randall said. They're Florida's quarterback. He's got a really nice story. In his backdrop, but I think Utah's hungry in the sense that they feel like they let the Rose Bowl slip out of their fingers, and they're going to be ready to hit the ground running. Give me Utah and give me the over.
Yeah, just briefly, if they haven't been down there or like in Mississippi or Alabama, or like if they haven't been getting accustomed to that weather, that's coaching malpractice.
Yeah.
Let me say one thing. 1997, I was banned from that crap hole called Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It's one of my fondest memories of the University of Florida, and I will rot in HELL hockey sticks before I go back to that crap hole you call a stadium. On to
Did
you,
somebody
Rob.
in jean shorts throw piss on you? Because I hear that's what happens there.
I lost the fight. Go ahead, Raj. I was arrested for assault when I was getting my head stomped on. Go ahead, Raj.
I was going to ask, did somebody in jean shorts throw pee on you and then you basically beat them up?
I confirmed your story.
So, yeah, Utah all day. It is odd to me, though, that, yeah, the line has hovered around 2.5 to 3.5 the entire time, which I think Vegas is just being coy. I don't see it in Florida. I do like Richardson, though. He's very athletic. Another thing we've talked about this is his name's Anthony Richardson. His number is 15. His nickname was AR-15, and he publicly denounced and said, "Don't call me that anymore." Essentially absolutely because of gun violence. Much respect to that, because in this day and age of NILs and brand, it would have been very easy for him to take the other route, if you will. And so that tells me this is a very smart, poised kid who's a leader. And I think he's much better than Emory Jones, who went to Arizona State. However, I still think Utah wins, but initially I thought they'd roll them, and I don't think that anymore, mainly because of Anthony Richardson on and off the field.
All right, Brandon Chang. I'm going to let you finish this, and I got to open for the next game.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, it opened at 2.5, like right when the lines came out.
It did.
Utah 2.5, and we talked about this several weeks ago when it did open. We were all over Utah, and I'm still all over Utah. I mean, I think this is Vegas screaming, "Please bet the Gators! Please bet the Gators! Please bet the Gators!" I mean, it has not moved hardly at all. And you just wait until it comes about an hour or two before game time. You're going to see the sharp money on Utah, and you're going to see that line jump quite a bit. I would take it now, 3.5, whatever it is. Utah, I don't see them losing this game at all. I see them winning by at least a touchdown, if not 10 points. They're just a better team, and I think this is just Vegas trying to manipulate the public.
All right. Y'all, we have a
wait, real quick. Tennessee has dropped to 30.5. Has there been an injury we don't know about? That's a 5-point swing.
Well, let me get the special guest, and I'll check the Twitter. I just want to bring in from LSU, and I'd like to welcome to this program Coach Brian Kelly. Coach, how do you think you're going to play against Florida State?
Me tug dog, yeah. Okay. Just have the defense run sprints.
All right. Coach, with some candid comments from LSU.
That sounds about right.
Born and raised in Biola Battery, buddy.
Buddy,
Hey, ow.
Brian Kelly got more Southern than grits.
He's the devil.
I just want to know what they gave him on that plane ride from South Bend after he absolutely crapped on the fighting on his team and at Notre Dame. Must have gave him some really good Cajun something or other.
His sudden Southern accent was the best. Then that video, who's the recruit where he made that video?
Oh,
him dancing around him. That was so
And the
That
creepy.
didn't- yeah, that
kid
didn't
chose
go.
Alabama or whatever.
Yeah. All right,
That's
Brandon,
brilliant, dude.
first one up, FSU, LSU.
I hate Brian Kelly. I've never liked him at Notre Dame, and that whole montage that you just put on alongside the real thing that happened at that basketball game. I've got to pull for FSU here. I mean,
Never thought I'd be there, but I am with you.
I've got to pull for FSU here. Like I've never hated LSU, so I've never had a problem with them really. But I've never hated him so much now that that dude's at the helm. What a nut job.
And Brian Kelly's words for you.
Yeah, that's about how it sounds. So.
Damn, these though. Special teams coming for a friend, do some laps.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord, perfect timing. I'm with you. All right, Raj, what do you think about Southern Boy Kelly versus Mike Norville and the Florida State Seminoles?
Who's playing Florida State? I'm sorry.
LSU.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, that's some insight there.
I'm not a Norvell guy, nor Florida State. I know they hammered Duquesne, but LSU's just got talent across the board. And even though I don't believe Kelly's named a starter, Jaden Daniels with the right group around him, especially up front, can be a very good quarterback. So I take LSU all day.
All right, Tom.
Yeah, Mr. Cajun, Brian Kelly, he's infamous for winning, the early games and, the games that really don't matter a whole lot. Not to say that this game doesn't matter because it's two former powerhouse programs. And I think you look at LSU, who, just 3 years removed from the national championship game with my fantasy quarterback, number 9, Joey Burrow. But anyways, I like LSU here. It's the prime time, the only game on Sunday night down there in Cockroach Valley. And, like I said, Brian Kelly, he knows how to recruit. He'll have a good test to start him out. And, people will fall in love with him. But by season's end, they'll want his head on a spike. So give me LSU. And it looks like 51.5. Again, I think that number's really low. Give me the over. LSU to win, to cover, and the over.
All right, Aaron Mitch. Only person I've seen go hard against us going with Florida in the swamp.
That is my nephew. He's one of Detroit's finest.
Yeah, Tom and I are on the same page. Over on every college game. Just bet the over. Time's unlimited. On this, look, I don't necessarily like Brian Kelly either, but
got to pick, Raj.
The
Personal.
LSU's just recruited better over FSU in the last decade. I'll take talent. I think this is one. It's in Atlanta, right? Or is it in the?
It's in LSU.
It's not in Tiger Stadium though. It's in the. It's in the Superdome.
It's in the New Orleans.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll take a home crowd for LSU. I'll take LSU -4, and I'll live with that.
Yeah.
All right, one more game we'll mention, and then we'll go to the final segment. Clemson plays former RiverCity-Media alumni Adam Clayton Powell, opening up at Georgia Tech. First ever game, Clayton Powell Lee. You saw him here, commit here to Georgia Tech, opens up his career. Big deal for us here at RiverCity-Media, but I think that's a Monday night game. It is tempting, but I was kind of shocked that Clemson All right, let me just say this, and then we'll move on. When I broke down next year's NFL draft, Alabama had the most players I had in the first round. I was shocked to find Clemson was number 2.
Why?
So, just that I didn't think Clemson was that talented. Have we undersold Clemson simply because of bad quarterback play last year?
Or oversold.
They won 2 championships over the last 5 years. How can you undersell that?
I don't think that anybody in
They
this
sucked last year for no reason, really.
would have picked
That
Clemson.
wasn't that bad.
Was Clemson going to be in your final 4 picks, Robbie? I mean, I guess that's what I'm getting at. There was a team, we keep talking about the big 3. I think Clemson may be 4.
No, I don't. So I think Clemson has top 4 talent, but so when you look at it, so the top 3, I think it's undisputed, is Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. So that's 3. So Clemson comes in there as 4, 5, 6, is whatever year they have. They play in a nice division, nice conference to win it, but they're going through some transition with Venables leaving and Elliott leaving. And so this is the first time in Dabo's career. And Dabo has not been great at adapting to this new NCAA. So
Harbaugh.
I'm not
Just like
so
Harbaugh.
sure what Clemson looks like. So I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt till they show it to me. So, yeah, so I mean, they've got talent. Georgia had talent for years and years and years and never won because they didn't have good coaching staff and good, continuity. And so this is what I'm looking like. What does Clemson look like right now? Florida State, like there's talent. I mean, good God, Florida has talent falling out their ears and they still can't get it together. So I'm not saying Clemson's going to be bad. I'm just saying I don't know yet. I want to wait and see.
Fair enough. Anybody else got any comments for Clemson before we move on?
I just think if they're sitting at 4, this is a game they have to absolutely cover. With I think the number's 22.5 right now. They've kind of got some skeletons in their closet. I'm going to botch his name. Ugalele, their quarterback, who's coming.
None of us can
DJ.
That's
DJ.
as bad as Brandon said vegetables.
Vegetables.
I've never said vegetables. You were just drunk. That's what you heard is vegetables.
You could both be right on that one.
We got ukulele and vegetables.
Yeah. But you know, 2 years ago he was the hottest commodity coming in, and last year he didn't live up to the hype, and so I think he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And yeah, how's that defense going to look without Brett Venables within going to Oklahoma? So I think this is a team probably with the biggest question mark over their head. Clearly, they've got the possibility to run the table in the ACC. I don't think there's many other teams in the ACC that can compete with them. So this is a game they have to cover this game by a lot, and they probably will because it's Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Real quick, snapshot. North Carolina at Appy State this weekend. Who do you guys got?
App State.
Happy State.
What's the line?
I think
Okay.
Appy, or North Carolina -2.
Yeah.
Yeah. They lost a lot of talent.
Appy State's going to be rocking, man. If you've ever been to that campus, it's a party town.
All right, guys, we're running late as Raj gets into the 10th round and the 11th round.
How'd you know?
Before we go to Bet Your Nuts, and I want to run around and just give everybody a minute or two, pick conferences, pick Final Four, just give you chances to put your name on some predictions that we can go back and look at the end of the year and say, hey, I called this. And we'll go in order of seniority to the show. The newest member of the show, the man, the myth, the legend, Tom Sloan.
All right. Well, I think. What do you want me to go? Conference?
Do whatever you want to do, buddy.
So
I've got
obviously, SEC, Alabama, ACC. I'm going to go Clemson. Big Ten. It pains me. It pains me. I think we could possibly be in for a memorable game.
Just say it quickly. Gets it out of your system.
I'll say,
Your
I'll
dad-
give that. My dad's team is going to win the Big Ten.
All right.
And the Pac-10 will go to Baylor. I'm sorry, not Baylor. Utah. Baylor's going to win the Big 12. I think my Final Four: Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. I think that's pretty much what you're going to ride all season. I think Notre Dame's a fraud. You'll find that out on Saturday. The fourth team, that's tough. That's really tough because if Michigan is undefeated going into that a game against Ohio State, will their strength of schedule hurt them? It could. So this is where Michigan's offense needs to really play. They've got to play strong. If they keep that game close, I think Michigan could squeak out into the fourth spot. But I'm going to go Texas A&M. No, I'm going to go Utah to come into the fourth place here. So Alabama, State, Georgia. I don't believe that would give 3 SEC teams to go in the top 4. So I think Utah gets in at 4. But Michigan's going to be close. Michigan's going to be really close. I just think their weak schedule. It's probably one of the weakest schedules in the country. I think that's going to hurt them ultimately.
All right, Brandon Chain.
So my top 4 is the same. It is Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, and I've got Utah in there as number 4. Michigan is not going to get in because of how bad Ohio State's going to beat them at the end. And I think that last loss is going to be really daunting on people's heads. So, unfortunately, the Big Ten will not get 2 teams in this year. Maybe once we get to the Super Conference and 12 teams, I think so. But I don't know. Harbaugh, I just don't trust that guy. And he's all over the map.
He's stuck in the Bible right now, so.
Well, maybe that's good for him. That's I don't know. It would be nice to see 2 Big Ten versus 2 SEC, but then the rest of the country would be really mad and didn't want to join our conference. So, and that's essentially what's going to happen. But yeah, I love Utah. They're a good team this year. Clemson. Again, they lost their vegetables, so I mean they can't do anything on defense.
You don't eat your vegetables, you can't win.
Yeah, you can't win without the protein and the vegetables. So, and Dabo is again using this new wave as excuses, I think, and they don't have such a tough schedule. I think they'll be kind of in the public just because they're backed and heavily favored by fans, but I don't see them making it into the Final Four.
Raj had to step away, so we'll be without him the rest of the show. He had some kid issues to take care of. So, Robbie, we did the first broadcast together. I will let you have the final word on these predictions, but I am going to shake it up. I don't.
Right. Yeah. So this is just purely from a TV standpoint. Yes, I'm with these guys. I think Georgia and Alabama are in. I hope Ohio State goes undefeated and they're the 1 seed with the toughest record. And so you have either Alabama and Georgia either staggered or they meet in the first round. because the last thing in the NCAA wants is another Alabama-Georgia championship. You don't want to see them in the SEC and then back in the championship. So stagger them. So if you can get Oregon, Clemson, number 4, Ohio State 1, Alabama, Georgia 2 and 3, let them play, and then let Alabama or Ohio State, Oregon play for the 1-4, and then match up again. But that's the best case scenario, I think, as in the college football playoff perspective. So I think that's what it's gonna look like. I feel like my guess is all hands on deck, making them Ohio State running the table, putting them number 1, and then staggering Georgia and Alabama, because another Georgia-Alabama championship is disastrous.
So what's your 4th team? You're saying Oregon?
Clemson.
Oregon or Clemson?
So I'm going to go
I mean,
out on a limb, and I
Baylor,
believe
maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, it's a 3-team sport right now.
all right. So I don't have Georgia in the playoffs. I don't think Georgia makes the playoffs. I don't think Georgia's defense is as elite at last year, and you don't win with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. I will put 2 teams from the SEC in. I will put Alabama and Texas A&M in. The winner of the regular season game is the SEC champion, and the other team gets in at 11-1.
So let's walk this dog down the road. So every other conference championship has to have at least 1 loss, maybe 2.
It's easier to get 2 teams in losing to each other. I think Alabama beats Georgia. Georgia's done lost, and they're 11-2. I don't see Georgia walking through the season 12-0.
Who's their second loss?
To Alabama. I don't know who the first loss is. I'm
Wait,
telling
no,
you.
if Georgia only loses to Alabama, they're in.
I just
That's
said
what I'm saying. Like,
second loss.
Who's
11-1
their first loss?
during the regular season. I just don't see this team going undefeated. You want me to give you a name? All right,
South Carolina.
Kentucky, Florida. There's teams capable of beating Georgia. Georgia's not the juggernaut that Alabama is. I like Texas A&M. I think a lot of people are just selling them short because they're ranked 4th or 6th.
In that scenario, Texas A&M can get in as the 3rd team for the SEC. I mean,
in that scenario, I have Georgia being 11-2, Texas A&M being 11-1, and Texas A&M getting in over Georgia. I do not see Georgia. I really do not believe Georgia is going undefeated in the regular season, and I really do not believe Georgia can beat Alabama. That gives them 2 losses. In my scenario, Alabama is either undefeated or 1 loss. Texas A&M's only loss or undefeated would be to Alabama. Same thing that they did with LSU a few years ago. Same division, 1 loss. I like that scenario over Georgia being 12-1 and losing, or 12-0 and losing to Alabama in the finals. I just don't think Alabama and Georgia both get through undefeated.
all this does is once we do go to the super conference with 2 conferences and 12-team playoff, you're going to see a lot of these rematches and 2-team that's really good that may have misstepped or whatever. It's going to be really good for the sport, I think.
I would bet my life Alabama's in the playoff. I mean, that's a given.
If we remember straight, this last year is the first time you had a West and East team meet in the finals, and they both got in the playoffs. It is generally a team from the same division.
That's because Michigan got pimped in that ranking last year. That's how that happened. Michigan should have been number 1 going into the college football playoffs. They did that for a reason.
Wait, what?
Michigan was the best team they should have been number 1 going into the playoffs. In my opinion. Coming off that
they got steamrolled by Georgia.
I'm saying going into the playoff, they should have been rated number 1
Well,
before the playoff.
It's not your win. It's who's the best team, right?
And Michigan was the best team going into the playoffs.
Okay, let me finish my predictions before we get the whole world.
That's some logic there,
That's
Tom.
some reckless speculation we're going with, but I'm not done.
I'm the best swimmer, but I'm the first one to drown.
I got some more shockers coming. Clemson is my third team in. Clemson is in the playoffs.
I haven't been in the pool yet, but man, I can swim.
Go ahead, Randy.
Is the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I have Texas A&M, Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. I think Baylor wins the Big 12, and I think Utah wins the Pac-12. Golly, I didn't think I was going to make. You know what? I'm just going to stick with the crowd from now on. I'm causing too much controversy on reckless speculation. All right, guys, it's time for final words. Finally, it's been a long night. I'm ready for bed. And bet your nuts. Thank you for correcting me. So let's get around the table real fast. We'll go Brandon, Tom, Robbie, me. Bet your nuts. Brandon.
Bet your nuts. Not to be biased here, but Ohio State minus 17.5. Hammer that. That's all day. That's free money. Now, if you want to get a little risky, I've got a 3-team parlay as of late news coming in that Tennessee dropped to 30.5. Right? Is that right? What you said, Bradley?
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to get really risky, throw $5-10 on it. 3-team parlay. Ohio State in the points. Tennessee to cover. And Utah to cover. That's going to happen. And thank me later.
All right,
so Ohio State, Tennessee, and Utah to cover.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna throw my hat back into the NASCAR ring.
Nice.
Since,
Now Tom's getting
NASCAR Tom.
He's
more than Robbie over here.
NASCAR Tom.
I had the race on while we were out on the boat last week, so
it gets addictive quickly.
He's watched it for 4 weeks, and he's got more wins than Robbie in 2 years. So it's pretty good.
Well,
Robbie's getting better.
I'm not patting myself on the back. I probably can't reach back there anyway. So again, my theory, I always look back at the last 5 races and who's got the best record. And Denny Hamlin on this track has 2 wins in the last 5. He's plus 600 to win. So I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin here to win the Cookout Southern 500 at Darlington. And as a little cherry on top, take Kevin Harvick to finish in the top 3rd at plus 430.
Nice.
Hey, I'm simple tonight. I'm going to be so simple. I got one bet, and I just think a lot of this football team more than everybody else. I am going to lay 6.5 and take the Razorbacks. I think they walk the dog on Cincinnati. I know Luke Fickell has built something nice. I think Arkansas is a top 15 team by the end of the year. They're not Alabama, Texas A&M elite, but they are there. All right, Robbie.
Yeah, so I have a simple rule in gambling. If the best driver is over plus 7 to 1, I bet on him. Chase Elliott's plus 8 to 1 this weekend in Darlington. He hasn't won in a while, but yeah, he's still the best race car driver out there in the world. That's like saying, hey, if you have the best football player, the best basketball player, and it's 8 to 1, you bet on them, man. So I'm taking Chase Elliott plus 800 to Darlington. Backup bet. Let's see what my notes say. Yeah, I'm going to take West Virginia plus 7.5. So but I would bet 20 on West Virginia, and I'd bet 200 on Chase to win Darlington.
My budget doesn't allow betting 200 on anything.
I can handle
All right.
20.
Yeah, I'm
Speaking
20.
of units, like
Final words,
half
Brandon.
a
You guys,
unit.
do you guys not like free money?
No. Hey, I'll go first on final words just because I had something special happen this week that I want to talk about. We started a show trying to do high school preview show, trying to reproduce the coaches' shows that are famous, and we've struggled and we've had mistakes, and we got through week one. We did the jamboree, and this week we put it together. We put it out there. And we felt like it should be done to donate to the school, to the program. And the reason I'm bringing this up, we did get a sponsor. Thank you very much. A charter bus this year is 3 times the price it was 2 years ago. And if you think about taking a high school football team 3 or 4 hours away and it being $4,500 now, where that was $1,500. If you think about a helmet is $280. If you think about every kid's obligation and the money that is spent on high school football, it is mind-boggling. And the Gates don't pay for it. The quarterback clubs, the individuals pay a lot. If you've got extra money, you want to donate to something that makes boys into men, and I believe it fully, or women or girls into women, donate to your local high school programs. It's not popular. It's not a thing to do, but if you can give $50 somewhere, do it. It really makes a difference. Brandon Chain.
No, well said. Mine's not as heartfelt as that. Mine's a little bit more on the upbeat. I am excited. Football is here, and I cannot wait. I'm even going to watch your Vols kick Ball State's butt tomorrow night. I might even take off work semi early and start tailgating with you in spirit.
You mean not golf?
Well, I didn't say I would be on the golf course. But, yeah.
I've called them.
Still drink there.
Use a rhyming word. I've called them Block and Balls State all week,
Yeah.
but you can change.
Well, we listen. Our local radio's got Blaine Bishop. He was a Ball State grad, and he played for the Titans for several years as well. But he even said this is going to be a bloodbath. So fully look for the Vols to cover the new line at 30. I loved him at 33.5. 35.5 was pushing it, but I probably would have still bet on him. But man, football's back. Thank God. Welcome to September, boys.
Thank God, longest show ever. Tom.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I'll piggyback off what Brandon said. You know, it's being up here in Michigan. You know, summer's boating. That's primarily the biggest thing we do all summer. So it's bittersweet this time of year. You're getting ready to put the boat away. We got about 2 or 3 more weeks of good weather. But on the flip side, yeah, I agree. Football's back, and I don't think there's any better weekend than week 1 of college football because of the matchups that they always have every year. And you know, if there's one thing that the NCAA gets right, which is few and far between, they get the week 1 right. So you trade one passion, which is being out on the lake, for another, which is being in here in the speakeasy watching, you know, football from Thursday night all the way through Monday night. So to throw that in the mix with the pennant chase that we're going to have running in through September in Major League Baseball, it's going to be fun times being a sports fan. That's for sure.
Speaking of that, Tom, you jogged my memory. Look for a live Reckless Speculation from Neyland Stadium tomorrow night with Robbie and myself at some point.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
It might be a slurred Reckless Speculation, but we will get it off at some point.
Awesome.
Robbie Davis.
Yeah, so sports-wise, real quick, if you guys have been watching the U.S. Open, it's been fantastic thus far. really some greats at the end of the road, but still fighting for greatness. Nadal and Serena Williams has been awesome. Randall, it's funny when you started your segment, you said, I started a show doing something. And I thought you were talking about us, about starting a show doing something that who knows what would happen. And, but thankfully for you and your dedication, we are getting thousands of views a week. And hopefully people are looking down and subscribing and all that kind of stuff.
Michigan,
But for something for charity,
subscribers.
yeah,
Michigan for the first time, I got the report this week. Tom, Michigan trended on our subscriber list. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for your charity, I'm not going to speak for all of us, but I will say if we can next week, if we want to put a charity down, and put every like we get $1 or something like that.
That would be awesome.
We whatever it is, whether it's Brandon alone or me alone or the four of us, we will match whatever dollar for dollar for every like we get, for whatever charity we're going for. We can do this for positive things.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I mean, let's do this thing. Let's do it for positive things. And, we do it for fun, and whether it comes from anything or not. But I mean, yeah, look, we can do this and have fun and do positive things. But yes, Randall, you've created a great show, and yes, please subscribe and like. And it's only going to get better during football season. And Tom's going to be bitter after every Lions week, but that's what happens.
Hey,
used to it by now.
It's all scarred. They roll right off anymore.
I don't think anybody will get through a season as scarred as I am with the Falcons this year.
Tom, maybe we should meet in the shoe this year. You can come down and we'll watch Ohio State in Michigan.
Well, anytime we want to try to raise money, I'm all about matching what we raise or anything like that for any kind of good charity.
Absolutely.
I will help out all I can.
Yeah.
That's a great one. We will find a school that needs some help, and we will get them that. And
I know where Brandon and I grew up right now, there's a school bus driver shortage, and 650 kids didn't show up for school on Monday. And so if we could do something like that to help them out and help, even
get them to school,
$500 just to give them something to get to school, things like that. Kids, we can do charity while we do Sports Talk.
Yeah, I mean that $500 could pay for an extra school bus driver for the week or something.
Yeah,
yeah, and like I said, it's and I'm sure that up in Tom's area, it's just the same. There's not enough resources to get around to the young folks, and we need more. All right. I didn't mean for it to go 2 hours tonight, Tom. I know I told you about 90 minutes. I'm sorry it ran long.
Hey, you're good. This is fun.
Here, Robbie Davis and I will be live from Neyland Stadium at some point tomorrow night. For Tom, for Roger, just had to leave. For Brandon, for Randall, and Robbie, we are out. See you next week.